Hi, welcome to Nerdy For, the podcast where I, Amy Brown, ask interesting people what they're nerdy for. Dale's already laughing, and I'm not even halfway through the beginning of my intro. This is why I do this intro every time. You're so giggly. I have in my costume chamber my bestie, Dale Ioannides. She is a teacher. She's also started a nonprofit that is doing incredible work in Atlanta for folks, and I'm going to have her talk all about it. But I also want people to get to know you before we talk about that. How long have you been a teacher for?
Well, gosh, teaching.
Can you hold on? Can you hear her okay?
I was going to boost her a little bit.
Okay.
You can get a little close to the mic.
Sure.
Yeah.
I always say it's right around 25 years, but some of those years I wasn't teaching.
25 years?
Yeah.
And you lived to tell the tale?
I did. I do. I am. I'm alive.
How sick were you for the first 20?
Hardly ever.
Oh, really?
It builds your immune system.
So it was like the first year you're just sick the whole
yeah.
time?
Well, probably. I don't remember, honestly, that. But like I do remember when everyone else around me is always sick, even with COVID, never. Like never.
Did you never get COVID?
Nope. Still haven't
Look
had
at you. Well, you have like... So you have
strong like bull.
My husband's never gotten COVID, and he's very thin and athletic to build. And I'm wondering if like you're just athletic enough, your body shoot to kill when it comes to viruses and fat cells.
No, I think it's kids.
I'm pretty lazy. I never got COVID.
They're just slinging their germs everywhere. Like the finger in the nose, the finger in the ear, the hands down the pants. And then they hug you.
And this is just
and,
the teenagers.
They'll sneeze on you. And it's, it's a lot like having your own children, but there's 24 of them.
24 kids. So do they, okay, I was playing tennis the other day and I didn't have a tissue and I had to wipe my nose on my sleeve and I was like, what's happened to me? This was last week. Like, I'm 47 and I wiped my nose on my sleeve and I flashed back to all of my youth and I was like, yeah, that used to be my tissue for like 13 years.
Yep, happens to the best of us.
Dude.
A lot of teachers wear aprons.
You got to talk louder. You're talking quiet for some reason. This is the most quiet I've ever heard you talk.
I guess I am normally loud. That's okay. A lot of teachers wear aprons.
Is it for the snot? Is it snot apron?
For a lot of different reasons, right? So first of all, for the apron reasons, like if your hands are nasty, you can just wipe them off on the apron, right?
Yeah.
But you can hold things if you have the pocket aprons, right?
Yeah,
and
tissues.
There's, Band-Aids, chalk, all kinds of crap in there, expo marker. But then you can't keep certain things in there because kids go in it, right?
Like your
they
cell
think,
phone.
right, like they're trying to hug you, but then they're all on your apron. I did not wear an apron. But that's what I'm imagining.
What ages did you like teach? Was it like mixture throughout the years, or was there like a primary age group that you taught?
So definitely the littles were my favorite and where I
What's
did
a little?
most of my work, like kindergarten.
Did you ever do pre-primary?
I did. I
Those
taught,
are really little. They nap half the day.
That's why I was their
except for
favorite.
the ones that don't. And then you have to deal with the ones that aren't napping while the other ones are napping and they're in the
Quiet
same room.
time,
And it's
yeah.
insane trying to keep a little 2, 3 or 4-year-old quiet.
Right. Try to keep them
For
on the
an hour.
airplane.
It's like regulated by the state and everything.
They
So
have to
like,
have a nap?
Yes, and it has to
wow.
be a certain length and all that. So
State regulations around
Crazy.
schooling are fascinating to me. State regulations.
But I taught like kindergarten, first, second, third was kind of my realm. And then I became an instructional coach. So I was a literacy coach for a while.
Are you very good really quick, are you really good at herding cats as well?
Oh yeah, you have to be able to. It's like when when your little kid was at the soccer game when they were like 4, 5, 6 soccer, right? They're all day.
But when they're little and they're playing soccer, they will stop playing if a plane goes over because they're all more excited about a plane.
Worm, anything, yeah.
Than they are about the game. My son stopped during one of his soccer games to tell the coach that he felt a drop on his cheek. A raindrop on my cheek, Carol. It was so cute.
I mean, forget it if a fire truck goes by.
Oh, a
right?
fire truck goes by. Game over.
Forget it.
They're so cute, though.
Yeah. But then I got to teach teachers for a while. So as an instructional coach, that meant I was sort of like an expert in that area. So it was literacy. So I'm essentially teaching teachers how to teach reading. And also working with kids. And then there's like administrative duties and all that. But while I was doing that for some of the time, I also had to teach 5th grade. Oh, it was horrible.
Oh no.
It was like,
Okay, remind me what's happening in 5th grade.
So
are we having mustaches yet?
they're starting. I had yes, and most of them are my size or taller. And you're trying.
Are you right at armpit height to smell all those stinky armpits coming in?
And it's so funny. So this is like, all right.
I just remember we got an email from our teacher one time and to the entire class. Everyone needs to shower more.
For 5th grade. Yep. You do have to have that talk. The nurse comes and does all that. So, yeah.
This was to the parents.
Yeah.
Shower your kids
Please.
before you bring them to school, please.
And start using some deodorant. Yeah. A little bit. Especially in the summer. Like, okay, so when springtime comes of that year and you're now out on the playground and you're in Atlanta and it is HOT.
Yeah.
And you come back into the classroom.
Oh, it must smell like a locker room.
God,
but it like a
disgusting.
prepubescent locker room, like something even stronger.
It was horrible. But it's funny. So this sort of bleeds in a little bit with my nonprofit. So I'm really my work now.
It's just giving kids like soaps
Deodorant
and stuff.
I know right now.
Yeah.
I wish that. Well, it could. As a matter of fact, it is, and that's where it's like not so funny. But yes, it is. Actually.
Oh wow.
So I moved from one side of the county to the other in this one school district
In Atlanta.
And I noticed a very large difference between Title I schools on both sides of town. But
What's a Title I school?
a Title I school is one where a minimum of 40% of the families are receiving free or reduced lunches. And so on the north side of town, at the Title I school where I served, we were probably right around that 40%. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure if they're Title I anymore. Like they kind of are right on that threshold, and some years they are and some years they aren't. But essentially a Title I school at the bare minimum. But then I moved to the other side of town and was also at a Title I school. Well, now we're at like a 98% free and reduced lunch. So the capacity of those families is way lower.
The resources are less.
Correct. Which means who loses out? Teachers, right? So they don't get any sort of
And then the
reimbursement. Well, of course, yes.
Yeah.
So it's just a situation where the students are already behind and the teachers have fewer resources to work with to try to catch them up. So that to me was like, oop, red flag, there's something's going on here. And the more I talked to people, the more we realized that this is absolutely not just happening right where we are in Atlanta, but in
Across the
places
country.
all across the country. And so I'm trying to set up we are a nonprofit, and our goal is to provide teacher grants for teachers at those Title I schools, but we're really looking at the Title I schools that don't have a PTA or a foundation. That's sort of like the difference.
A PTA, Joel, do you know what a PTA is?
Yeah, the Parent Teacher Association.
So they kind of.
the thing my mom never
Yeah.
participated in.
I mean, my mom was busy too, but
My mom was not busy. She just wasn't a good mother. So.
the PTA kind of steps in where the school can't or doesn't have the resources to, and helps. And if your school doesn't have a PTA and or funding for one, or the people who have the free time to do it, there's a lot of things you're lacking. And I didn't realize that the teacher is responsible for setting up their classroom with their own money and buying all the supplies. And if they want to have a library of books in their classroom for the children to read, they have to get that themselves if they're not donated. It's shocking. Wait a minute. It's crazy. Is there like a really big difference between poverty and not in the United States? That's what?
Yep.
It's crazy, but you're on the front lines.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
My friend Dale is on the front lines here. She's found the people who need resources and supplies to make their classrooms better. And a lot of these are newer teachers graduating from college, student loans. They don't get paid their first paycheck. For how long is it?
So we're paid in arrears just like most professions
What's
are.
arrears?
Arrears is when,
It sounds silly.
Arrears is when a company holds on to a paycheck so that when you leave at the end, you get an extra paycheck. Like, right?
Okay.
To hold you over until your next job. Like, I think that's why it's set up that way for most companies and organizations. Like, every time I've worked outside of a school, I've had to do that too. Like, you don't get paid the first paycheck.
I've never had a real job.
You get the next one. But for teachers, it's even worse than that. So if I'm a brand new teacher and I'm coming to work in Atlanta, so it's not just in APS, but in many of the metro districts, you start working in the middle of July.
The middle of July.
Yeah.
It's still summer.
Correct. Students come August 1st. You don't get paid till August 30th.
So a month and a half before you get paid. And you're in your 20s. And
now you have student loans.
And now you have student loans and your rent and your car bill and your food bill.
I didn't realize that's why. I respect teachers and they're very important. But I don't see why anyone's a teacher with how much they
are not
supported or getting taken care of whenever. Yeah,
that's right.
So. But I didn't realize that you even have to. Shout out to all the people that choose to do it.
That's
so
right.
Dale gets collecting resources. That means money, y'all, in fancy donation terms.
That is right.
She's getting teachers ask for submit for a loan. And they ask for what they want, and then they get you approve it with your board, and they get the loan, and then they send you pictures of what they got. And one of them, this is an interesting story. Tell about the pencil sharpener.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Okay, this is just like how crazy it gets with children.
So there was a classroom, and this was a teacher who worked at a school where I worked at. So I know exactly the classroom she walked into. And as a matter of fact, this was not a situation where she didn't have materials. It's that she had so many materials, like the teacher prior to her had hoarded, but they were all like just jammed all in like boxes and closet. Like it was a mess. It was a complete mess. And that also happens to teachers. So like if the teacher prior to you never it's truly whatever the teacher prior to you leaving left the condition of the room in. So
it's like a fraternity house.
It was pretty bad. So she had all this junk, but it wasn't really usable. And so brand new teacher, and she didn't have a pencil sharpener, and she had like those little plastic ones, right?
But the kids were messing with it, right?
So what'll happen is you don't have one for everyone, right? She doesn't have 24 of those little ones. She probably had 4 or 5. But then what would happen is the kids realized that it would get them off task and not hold them accountable for being in their seat doing their work if they could be distracted by a pencil being broken and then having to try to find a pencil sharpener, right? Like, where is it now? Oh, they're missing, right? So now everyone's digging around.
Distracted.
I mean,
the cats are running the asylum.
Yes. Yep. And then the second we gave her the $300
to buy a fancy pencil sharpener.
And she did. She got like this industrial
and it's quick.
Like, teacher pencil sharpener.
And they're back to work.
Yep.
Isn't that wild?
It now is like even a job in the classroom.
They can earn it with good behavior.
So,
a little carrot, not so much stick.
And then they'll sharpen it at the end of class or something so that the next day you don't even have to sharpen during the day.
How can we apply? That's so fascinating, human behavior. How can we apply this to our husbands? Like, do you get the right tool? You can get them to focus on something?
Right. I don't know. To figure that out. Laundry somehow. I don't know.
Maybe if I get my husband a fancy camera, he'll take pictures of me. Right now, it's only pictures of him and the children because I'm the one doing it.
All of them.
I don't exist in our family.
That's exactly right. Well, I mean, the thing is, I'm sure any listener and maybe you both as well, like have just heard in the media lately about, like, I know this morning in the news they're talking about there aren't enough subs. Well, clearly there aren't because, no one wants to come in anymore for sure. But like, just that teachers aren't staying in the profession and that there's a teacher shortage.
Right. I'm sure they're getting burned out.
So if you really think about this, like, part of what I'm trying to do is take one of the layers off, like the reimbursement issue. Some schools do reimburse their teachers, right? But those aren't the schools we're trying to help. So, but I just think about like normal teaching, right? And what truly teachers are expected to do. Like, let's think about I don't know. Let's think about like some crazy adults that maybe just have wild behavior, but imagine what they were like as a child. Like think about Jim Carrey, right? Like what
doing
the hell?
voices.
Would it be right? You'd be like, hello, Mrs. Carey. Like, she's not going to be able to do it. What if she's trying to keep him the same thing at home, right? What about like Johnny Knoxville, right? Like he's like on the top of the swing set, like trying to get other kids to jump off the top of the swing set and do like Mrs. Knoxville, I can't get Johnny to stop. Like, she can't either, you know? I don't know. Mrs. Trump, we can't get...
Oh, my gosh.
We can't
he
get
keeps trying
Donald.
to run for office. We don't have any offices yet.
I can't get him to be accountable for... I'm kidding. But anyway.
Do you know, who's the hot lady who is in Katniss? Who's that girl?
I'm talking about
Jennifer...
Lawrence.
Yes.
I heard her nickname was Nitro because none of the ADD medication would work on her as a child.
Yes.
Can you imagine? And that's why they put her into acting
Yes.
to try to get her to focus on something.
But I mean, teachers are dealing with this all the time.
And like, how many
right?
students are in the classroom? This is the part where my head explodes because I can't handle the 2 I have living in my home, let alone a bunch of them. And then how, like, this is another thing. I'm afraid of children because if they smell fear, they know you're not in charge anymore.
Yes,
like,
that is
have
true.
you
It's
lost
like the
control
animal thing,
of
yeah.
a room? Or
in my past,
you're
yes.
an alpha, like,
for sure.
You're that okay.
I'm not going to say that's
real quick,
never
Dale's
happened.
an alpha friend, and she's like, you're always organized and have a plan, and it's
Always.
wonderful. You're like the room mom of our lives. It's great. And you're like,
Backup plan. I've got A, B, C, D plans.
yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah,
But
that's because I'm around children all the time.
right? Yeah.
You
Yeah, I bet
always
you
have
could,
to
like,
have
have you
backup
ever
plan.
walked into a, like, men fighting and clapped your hands and been like, that's enough, young men?
Yes,
and
I
they-
have.
That's great.
Please tell the story.
And my
You're like,
husband, John,
she
gets
weighs
so
110
mad.
pounds. Like,
John gets so mad at me when I don't mind my own
he
business.
can't back you up. Your husband cannot fight. He can't back you up if you get, like, some guy hits you. Young men. That's enough of that. Everyone circle up on the carpet. Do they have carpet? Where was it? In my nightclub? Where were you? You're like breaking up a fight.
I
in
don't
the
know.
streets. 2 a.m.
There's teachers. That's right.
I can imagine you driving like
don't know.
the Zamboni thing that washes the streets at 3 a.m. Like, everyone go home now. It's time to go to bed. Make good choices.
Oh my gosh.
Take your vitamins. Brush your
Yeah.
teeth. Put your retainers in.
It's always the parents, though, right? Like, it's always the parents that I have more probably funny stories. I mean, there are definitely some kids that I've met that are just so unique and great stories.
You have to have
but, like,
favorites. Yeah.
but like, it's usually the parents, right, that sort of are a little wackadoo.
Really?
Yeah.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
No weird parents here.
We know tons of
Were you ever, do you think, Amy, you were ever one of the parents of the teachers just like, oh, God,
Well,
she's coming in again?
I think, no, because I think the parents that you get tired of and the ones that are trying to micromanage the classroom. I ran away from the class. I'm like, thank you so much for taking my baby, and go do my life. Yeah. I don't know what
Life.
I would get nervous going into this school. I get nervous going into schools. I do. It's
There's
like
a lot of
hospitals,
trauma
too.
around school.
Yeah,
People
maybe.
do have a lot of I mean, I know it sounds
It's like
weird,
you
but
feel like you're going to get judged. Am I wearing the right shoes even though I'm 47?
Yep. A lot of parents really truly feel like
Nervous.
just from their own childhood experience, either because
Yeah.
like they were bullied or because their teachers were assholes or because they
Dale just dropped the A
whatever.
word. Okay, so I have a joke about Dale. Inspired by you. Inspired by you. Because my
That's right.
grandmother was a kindergarten teacher.
I laughed the first time I heard
And
this joke. Oh my God.
so my joke is that, like, I never heard my grandmother swear. She would say, "Oh, fudge," and like her hand is slammed in a door. Like, I'm like, she should be ripping everyone a new one. And she's just so, like, she would say sugar when, like, for big stuff. And then I've heard Dale will say that guy's a real stinker. About a real bad person. Like, Hitler's a real stinker. And my favorite is she'll call someone a ding dong. Sorry, it tickles my fancy every time. Cada tiempo. A ding dong. And I thought you had invented it, but then I was watching The Feud with Truman Capote and the Swans, and one of the ladies, like the perfect lady, I think it was the perfect lady, or maybe it was Slim. She goes, I think Truman's acting like a real ding dong. I'm like, oh, this Dale's word. So it must be from the 50s or 60s.
I honestly have no idea.
Yeah, so that's one of my jokes is that's not the funny part, but you inspired that. But at the same time, like you say these cute words and you have all the power in a room. So it's because you're, I think, a teacher and you had to stare down like an elephant or whatever.
Multiple times.
Alpha energy. So to see you just drop that real A word. I can tell she hasn't been in the classroom for a year.
That's
two.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right. I've been out for a year.
It's your School's In is the name of your nonprofit.
School is in. That's right, but just not for me.
School is out on this potty mouth over here now.
Oh, you're just working on the nonprofit full time now?
That is right. That's right. It is wild. It's wild. Seriously, after being in the classroom for that long, and I would always take like a little break here and there. Like when Nicholas was born, I took a year, maybe like a year and a half off, and then I started getting really bored.
Yeah.
And I opened a school. But like that wasn't really teachings, but like things like that. I'd always do things that somehow are connected with education, but not always in the classroom, but then just always ended up back in the classroom. It is great to not be in a classroom.
Well, you would. We didn't see you for a while because you're like, oh, it's 8:30. I have to go to bed now because I have to wake up so early to get to the classroom and not be in a bad mood about it.
It got progressively worse.
I don't know how the alcoholics do it.
I mean, I will say that, right?
Just by drinking during the day.
That's what you keep in your apron.
Weird.
A little flasky woony.
Yeah, they're like, no, don't reach in my apron for.
A
lot. I mean, right? Like a lot. There's always those jokes about like the teachers that have their flask, whatever. I never did that.
Have you ever seen a teacher, like an old school teacher?
No, but when I was younger, I'm pretty convinced I had some high school teachers that
were flasking
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Just waiting for their time to be done with school.
That's exactly right, yeah.
It's interesting. Like I can remember every teacher I've had. You are a celebrity if you are a teacher because people know you. People remember you.
Oh, you do. I mean, that's how John. When we go around with Dad,
her husband and her father-in-law.
My father-in-law is 90, and if he was a teacher out into public, people still to this day recognize him. He taught at like Roosevelt I think that was like before Grady was built. Mm-hmm. And then he taught one other school here in Atlanta, and then he taught at Pace. That was when he was at Pace for like ever and ever and ever.
Teaching math. A Greek teaching math.
He's taught for
really cool.
40 years here in Atlanta and just knew everybody. It was insane.
My grandmother taught in the town over from my village. And people in the grocery store would come up to me and say like she was the nicest teacher, that they loved her.
Yep.
She was, it's your celebrity in your community.
It's pretty wild. But it's getting bad. Like it really, y'all, it's like.
Worse. Well, how about like the hand-to-hand combat and having to worry about.
I was having to break up so many fights, Amy. Do you remember me talking about that? Like,
no.
Well, back to that point where you were like,
is it the fifth graders?
It's 8:30. I have to be in bed. It was because I was getting up at 5:30 in the morning, out of the door by 6:30 in the morning, not getting home till 6 at night on some nights. Not, I didn't put in 12-hour days every day, but some days I put in 14-hour days. Like, how, and you have so many responsibilities. Fair enough. Like, you're in charge of children. I get that. But there are a lot of things that we are asked to do that really have nothing to do with the art of educating children.
Yeah.
And then there are a lot of things that just are roadblocks to really hitting like student success. It's just, and then some places are not like that. It really truly has a lot to do with like the leadership of the building, the leadership of the district, or the head of the school, and then it has to do with the teacher, like the skills that they have. It has to do with like the engagement at the school and how other students are. Like, I don't know, there's just so much that feeds into it. And then like now there are all these political issues that come in, and
right. Isn't that
you
like,
have to worry about what book you're reading and
isn't there like
how much of history you actually
There's a lawsuit
teach.
happening in Georgia right now, some sort of
In
lawsuit
Cobb, yeah.
about
Yeah.
the board is getting sued by lawyers because it's too liberal or something.
Oh, that's a different one then.
No,
from
I
what
could
was
be
thinking.
saying it completely wrong because I only listened to a second of it on the news, and I don't know what's happening a lot in the world or in my life.
It's shenanigans.
It's
just
some sort of
shenanigans.
suing of the board. You tell me what you know about the Cobb one.
Well, in that case, it was a teacher who read a book
Oh, this is different then.
that had to do with, I believe, like gender identity. And she read it to her 5th grade class, and she got fired.
In Cobb.
But it's so confusing right now as a teacher because it's almost like you don't know what books are going to be okay and what books are not. Like there are certainly books that are taken out of media centers, like banned books on lists. But then there are some books that librarians now are just taking it out because they're expecting that down the road they may be. They're just not sure. I mean, I just remember, though, growing up, like, with the books that we read, and if my parents really knew what was in the books, they probably wouldn't have been thrilled, to be honest. But they were exactly what I needed at that time in my life. Like, I was a middle school age kid, and, when you're reading Judy Blume, like, you know.
Is Judy Blume on one of the banned books now?
Oh, I'd be shocked if it wasn't.
Right, it's coming of age as a lady.
Or is it because she's a certain person that maybe those books aren't banned? I don't know. There's a lot of politics involved. But at any rate, maybe not, because maybe that isn't an LGBTQ issue or a race issue or I don't know. There's so much. It's just that, but that's the point, is that there's so much of this wrapped up. And so it depends on what state you live in. It depends on what district you live in. It depends on
probably the personality of the principal,
and the culture of your family. Like,
if there's like a state senator or somebody in town who wants to showboat by attacking the school's library.
It could be.
Well, luckily, limited education only has great stories tied to it from history. So.
That's right. They this is what I've heard. The more if you have a democracy, it's very expensive because everyone has to be educated enough to vote properly. And oops-a-daisy.
Mm-hmm.
We're making some big ding-dong decisions with our education.
Right. And interesting how there is this almost fight against education, too.
Oh, well, didn't Bush started that with like, you want to just have a beer with me? And
talking about No Child Left Behind.
Oh, but that was I think his wife was really much into education. But I don't know how well that program was successful or not. Were they trying to make schools? I'm having a flashback to a paper I wrote in college about charter schools. Were they trying to make competition available for children to be able to, like, in their school district, they could go to a better school if they wanted to, and then like finding like the school that needed the most help and giving them help, or were they trying to close those schools that aren't as successful?
In historically, you mean?
No, the Bush program, No Child Left Behind.
I don't remember, honestly, because that was I should know this. It was like literally right when I was doing like undergrad and when I was starting my career.
The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation released this like 150-page long analysis of the American school system, which I printed out and fully intended to read. And I carried it around for like a year in my backpack. I really wanted to read it because education actually is one of my passions, even though I'm not very good at it. And But I just remember like the highlights of it were like the system that we were using right now was designed in the 50s.
It actually was designed in the late 1800s.
In like 1800s, and it hasn't changed since then.
That's right.
And then they put all this funding into like a progressive school where there's more hands-on learning, and it's just a lottery to get in, and all the kids are doing great in the school where it's a progressive program instead of everyone circle up on the carpet, all 32 of you, and you learn the same thing. It's and it's more engineering based, and even the kids that aren't predisposed to be good at engineering in a classic setting are successful there. Wait, what? That's crazy. Yeah. So, I don't know how to fix it except for it does need funding. I know that.
It does.
And
that's
if
always
it's
the problem,
and if
right?
it's the rich neighborhoods getting all the money for their kids to be doing better than the poor neighborhoods are never going to catch up. Those kids are never going to catch up.
Well, right, because I mean, it depends on.
It shouldn't be based on where you live in America. The cream should rise to the top, regardless of your condition when you're born here.
Well, right,
That's
and
the American
so here's
dream.
like exactly.
And by cream, I mean physicists. Only physicists. Only sexy physicists.
You're
Boys
partial,
and girls,
so
and they.
you're partial.
I'm just teasing. Like those people who can read and do math, and then they can help the rest of us live in their house.
That's so funny.
I'm very much taken care of, and I'm dyslexic, so I feel like my armpits are sweating right now talking about school in general.
Well, like, okay, so if you look at Atlanta Public School, for example, right, at that district, it's a huge district. It's the largest one. I think Gwinnett's like the second in Metro Atlanta. And they are a large district. And so what that means in terms of taxes, I believe, my understanding is that it all goes into a district bucket. So like up north where I came up, each town had
North
their
of
own.
America, like
North, like New England.
New England.
So each town had their own school district. So the town I grew up in had a whole separate school system from the very next town over, not like here in Atlanta.
Okay.
It's a whole bunch of towns. It's just the county is the district, right?
Okay.
So taxes should, in that situation, go into a huge bucket, meaning if you're in the North Atlanta cluster, your school, based on all the little algorithms, because they have like this crazy algorithm that you have to follow based on like how many kids you get and what kinds of kids and all that. So once it's all evened out, every school should be getting the same amount for the amount of kids that they have at that school, right? But the difference, again, goes back to that PTA. So if, like the school where I was working, they had a foundation as well. And
In the wealthier neighborhood,
and so
you
there's
have
a gala.
There's the foundation. There's fundraising. There's
also
people donating money. So
Also, probably more parents that can donate the time because some
Correct.
of them, like
Yep.
you know,
yes,
can-
they have free time
And they have
and healthcare and all the other cool.
it's like all this stuff is all tied together. It's weird.
It's weird.
And
Probably
they
not,
have
though.
to spend everything. Like I now know this is a nonprofit. You have to spend everything to show that it's
need it.
used.
well,
so
if
that
you're
you
getting
need
grant
it,
money, if you're getting grant
and
money,
then
you do.
right. You
But if it's
go
just
get,
private donation from
but
your
they do get grant money.
constituents,
So their budget every year is about $400,000.
wow, so $400,000
That school
that the other schools don't have, and they spend it every year. And they spend it every year.
Correct.
That sounds like a lot of supplies.
Correct.
And training for teachers and help maybe with like
The only thing
crossing
it
guards.
can't pay
and-
for is people, right? So it can't pay
Okay.
for like a salary.
Can
But
it pay for training? Like for a specialist to come in and talk about how to make the
can.
kids not fight so much?
They just have to pay it through. It's weird. They have to pay it through gift cards. So like,
Through gift cards?
yeah, like you can pay the trainer, but for me to go to the training, because they can't pay my salary, but they can pay me to go to the training, they'll give you like a gift card
To where?
wherever I want. It's like a Visa. They'll
okay.
pay you like through a gift card because
Yeah.
they can't pay a salary. So,
It's only like some sort of kickback
it's-
rule or something.
but it's crazy because they would essentially ask teachers to dream big, right? Like, we want you to spend this money.
Ooh, scanning
What
electron
kind-
microscope.
What kind of
3D
a project
printer.
can you come up with?
I grew up in upstate New York. We had an indoor pool in my school, and there was like 69 people in my graduating class. Smaller than the private schools here, with nothing like that. Like, there's so much more money for education depending on what state you live in.
Very true. That's true.
Yeah. Okay.
That's true.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
You didn't.
So, okay, do you want to talk more about school, or do you want to talk about, I want to talk a little bit about, so Dale was adopted.
I was.
And she is married to a Greek man, but he was born in Atlanta. His papu, that dad, as we call him, who is the teacher of math, has a Greek accent and does the Greek dancing and is a ladies' man. And so Dale was adopted, and she didn't know her heritage. And then she got to 23andMe, and it came back like, how you're actually, what are you? Speaking to the microphone.
Well, okay, so I'm not at all what I thought I was, but that's not true, a little bit. So I did Ancestry, and I was told that I was half like English on my mother's side, and on the other half Italian, like that my father's side was all Italian. And then when you get the results back from Ancestry, it was like, there's not one bit of Italy or or Spain even, like nothing.
What was it? You're bearing the lead. What was it?
So
was it like a lot Greek?
No, nothing. Well, hardly. But it was.
You said it was like mostly Greek, and now Nikki can be Greek.
No, I didn't.
Do I drink too much, Joel?
I wouldn't. I mean, it depends on the day.
I am generally
those
like
eyebrows
Scandinavian.
Are Greek.
No, I'm like Norwegian.
Greek.
Like, that's what was so surprising. I'm Viking.
Well, sorry, that's
right, because remember the hand. That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Like the decorpus.
There's a thing where your hands just turned into a permanent claw, and it's genetic if you're a Viking. And I think it's retribution for all of the pillaging your people did.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Hey, other white people did a lot of pillaging too.
I know, I'm teasing.
It's not just the Vikings.
Well, I got eczema.
Yeah.
But I am like 5% Greek. So
You're
that was
5%
funny
Greek.
because that's where we said was like, oh, so Nicholas
Her
is
son.
more than half Greek then.
Yes. So
that was fun for
Nicky
him.
can be like a Greek citizen if he wants to.
He can regardless.
How much
but
does he
yes.
like avoiding taxes and eating olives?
I think he likes. Well,
We'll find
you
out.
have to ask him.
You're gonna get
he does like olives.
I
don't know about
passport,
the taxes about
right?
that,
You can get. Can you get a pass like citizenship, dual citizenship?
Mm-hmm.
Do the Greek people come after you for taxes?
I don't know that answer. I think you have to like be. I don't know. I'd have to ask John, honestly.
I mean, do you know what taxes are?
I know a lot about taxes. Just not water heaters. Or my water heater is broken right now, and is all I can think about. So okay, just that story bombed, but that's okay. About you not actually. I thought your eyebrows. I remember we were talking about your eyebrows because you get them coiffed, right? You get them like cut and
sometimes
and done. And you said to me, "Yeah, toes and eyebrows." And I was like, your toes are hairy? And you're like, no, I get my toes painted. I thought you were talking about getting the hair taken off your toes because she's got very distinct eyebrows.
As I'm listening to you tell this story, I was like, why did I tell her that my toes had to get...
You know what?
To pluck my toe? What?
Every time I shower, toes and tits, I got to shave the big toe and then shave the tits.
Amy's just assuming that everyone else has her lived experience.
Yeah.
I don't remember her telling her that.
Yeah.
Sure enough, I didn't. Okay, good.
I just heard you wrong.
Oh my gosh.
Oh god. So your child went to college recently.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other night.
did.
You said it was a surprise ache.
Yeah.
A surprise ache.
It was.
I thought you were about to say surprised that he went to college. Like, I thought he was so dumb. He wasn't going to get in.
Yeah, the teacher.
Listen,
No.
I knew some kids that had teachers for parents, and they all weren't. You know, some of them it's like the rebellion. You know, like if your dad's a preacher, a lot of times you'll go against it. You know, My parents were bad people, so now I try to be nice to people. That's the.
Yep.
Did you like openly see your parents acting a fool, like being mean to people, or just talking trash about them behind their backs?
Oh, both.
Oh.
Yeah. But I mean, they're just bad people. So
That sounds like a fun book to read.
What?
Like,
That's just sad. It's a lot of trauma.
oh, I'm sorry. Oops.
But that's also why my mom did at one point tell me, this was when I was still talking to her. I forgot what we were talking about, but she said, well, if I wasn't as bad of a parent to you, you wouldn't be as funny as you are today.
Oh, she was trying to get it.
And I was just like, I would honestly sacrifice being able to riff and make up good stories if I could just trust somebody. Like, I would trade that in immediately.
Oh, baby. I know. Don't you want to give him a hug? Let's get our aprons on and give Joel a hug.
Whenever you were talking about like all the misbehaving kids, I was like, oh, that was me. A lot of teachers did not like me because I was, for sure. I mean, I have ADHD now, I know, but I was undiagnosed ADHD and like problems at home, so I just acted out a lot and was the class clown. And then so I made teachers already very hard jobs even harder.
But that's what you're supposed to do. Like, not that you're just growing up. You're just trying to figure this out.
Those
You're
are
like
the best ones. I have to be honest. Like, those are the kids I remember. Like, I remember the hard kids because those are the ones that you definitely developed the biggest relationships with. Like, just because you spend probably more time with them, right? I mean, I know that it is what it is, though. You're having way more conversations. You're really kind of getting into, like, the why are you behaving like this, child, right? Like, so I think as a teacher, you're definitely, like, the kids who are easy
they pass through the doors.
It's horrible to say, but that's the truth of it.
They're also usually funny. I feel like the spazzy ones.
Yep. Yes, they are.
And
they get your humor too. I feel like you can make like a little joke and they'll
a lot of toot humor.
They'll get it.
Pull my finger. There's a boys' school. I heard about that has desks and then standing desks because the boys are antsy-pantsy. And there's girls who are antsy-pantsy too, so you can decide if you want to sit or if you need to stand. And they had recreation in between each class. So they could get it out, get all crazy, come back, sit, try to put some learning in, and then what's the goal? I know, what's the goal really? Why are we putting all these children into this pressure cooker to try to make them all come out the same shape, size thing that they want to do? It's pretty silly, and it's probably heartbreaking for the ones that can't do it. Me.
I know you didn't ever read it, but is there any study of why we stopped having recess after elementary school? Why don't we get like a 30-minute chill
because they all
break
hook up
time?
and everyone's hooking up and smoking cigarettes.
You can do. Trust me.
There was too many babies made.
That was happening
I
regardless.
wrote a paper on that, actually.
You wrote a paper
on
Dish.
recess.
You wrote a paper on tell it.
It was for my specialist degree. That was like one of my final papers, and I turned it in to my principal.
Oh. Yeah, so you're getting your master's degree while you're teaching, and then did the principal be like, "Thanks, Dale," and then not read it, or?
Oh no, it was because he was taking the recess away from everybody, and I was trying to tell him that he's ridiculous and to stop taking the recess away. Like, I mean, all I keep thinking is like adults have the ability to like go to the bathroom when they want, right? To like go get something to eat when they're hungry, to like to take care of their needs. It's like your basic needs, right? But yet we're expecting people who have less self-control to do more than like what we do, right? Like they have to not only ask permission, but then they have to wait sometimes, right? Like I don't have to wait or ask permission to go pee. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm not suggesting that you don't have, whatever procedures or rules in your classroom, but it's just like, I think that we often are asking children to do things that we don't even ask of ourselves, and we have more self-control, right? So that just seems counterintuitive.
Yeah. I completely understand what you're saying, right? Maybe that's why I get nervous when I go into a school. Like, I've got to tell everyone here I need to go to the bathroom. How embarrassing is that? Like, and then being in the hallway when you weren't supposed to. Oh my gosh, we're gonna get in trouble because you had to go somewhere.
Sometimes you didn't have that pass.
My mom. Okay, don't tell Geneseo Central, but my mom just put her signature on a bunch of blank pages so I could be like, had to go to the dentist because I was driving myself to the dentist, and
I love it.
So I could have my little permission slips if I needed it. And luckily, I wasn't selling drugs in the parking lot because I can't do math like that.
We used to at my high school.
What did you do? Dale, weren't you kind of a naughty
so
kid?
Bad.
You were naughty. It's always
kid.
the naughty people who turn teachers.
I was such a bad kid. So at my high school, I went to 2 different ones. For my second high school, there was an attendance procedure. So if you were a teacher, you took the roll, right, and then you put the thing outside of your classroom, and then someone for the house would come pick up we had 4 houses. Your classes were
sounds like
in these little
Hogwarts.
houses. It was Greenwich High School. So yes.
Oh wow.
So they would come and pick up all the attendance, right? And then whoever was absent, it would go into a basket and
the naughty basket.
And a volunteer mother would call at the end of the day all of the parents whose names were in the basket.
Whoa.
But it was kind of right after school.
A volunteer tally-tally.
But here's the thing. This was still in the 80s. Some moms worked, but not every mom still worked. I don't know. It was a weird thing. They called it a weird time during the day. So if your parents were working, they never got the call.
And there was not everyone had an answering machine,
right?
Probably.
So all I had to do, first of all, was tell my aunt ahead of time, oh, hey, I needed to use the bathroom and I was late to class. So they're going to call tonight.
Oh my gosh. God forbid you have your period.
Right?
God forbid you have your period and you're in the bathroom crying because your cramps are so bad and you're just freaking I can't go to class right now. I'm doubled over. Okay, sorry.
So you could get out of anything essentially just by making up something and just telling your parents. But what we had the whole thing going is I would go over to my boyfriend's house, and then when the mom called his house, I would pretend to be his mom.
Oh, role play.
And get him out
Ferris
of class.
Bueller's Day Off style.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly right. And then so we just
you guys
learned how to all do that.
You went and volunteered at the local shelter, at the food bank. They're volunteering the entire time, giving back to the community. Definitely not doing anything nefarious.
No.
No, what did you do? Do you think fun?
Oh, I don't even. Who knows? We probably went to the beach.
Oh, well, that's nice.
We lived right by the beach.
That sounds wholesome.
Yeah, it was just going to the beach was the big thing.
The big thing. Okay, I'm going to find out what kind of nerd you are real quick.
All right, do it.
And let's see here. Dale, Star Wars, Star Trek.
Oh, Star Wars. But I do like a good Star Trek, too. But
have you watched all the new ones coming out?
Yeah, because of John...
Your husband is into it?
Probably have watched but I get confused. I have to kind of, every time we watch a new Star Wars
is it the past
anything,
or is it,
I have to find out where it is.
In the timeline.
What,
is it a
is it between 5 and 6? Is it between 3 and 4? Because now there's all these offshoots.
Mm-hmm. All the different stories.
Oh my gosh. But yes, Star Wars.
Okay. Have you ever been to Dragon Con?
Oh, yes.
Yes? Did you dress up?
That's what the D on her necklace is for.
It's not Dale. It's Dragon Con.
So we would take Nicholas, and because John has the condo that's right downtown, and it's right next to Peachtree. So we would always park at the condo and then go in one of the parking garages on Peachtree and get a bird's eye view.
Okay, of the parade.
Yes. So
Yeah.
we would watch the Dragon Con
Yeah.
parades go through that way. And then we never got tickets to actually go in. But I heard that when you went in and they had like all this crazy wrestling, like glow, like girls, ladies of wrestling. They have all that. By the way, we went to wrestling for the first time
You went
the
to
other day.
wrestling?
The first time ever. It's phenomenal. But
Is it real
it's a
or is
whole-
it the fake kind?
It's fake.
It's a fake
all
kind.
all of it's fake.
It's fake. It's
I
amazing.
mean, like boxing
I guess
is real.
MMA is real.
oh yeah,
MMA
nothing
and
like
boxing are like real fights, but wrestling.
All
I
wrestling's
will say, like,
fake.
they're still fighting each other and they're doing like choreographed fights. But I mean, it's the
They
same.
practice it,
Yeah, but I
though,
mean, but it's
ahead of
just
time.
like they are still like you're getting hit, you're getting slammed
Wow.
down, but not like
Well, if Cirque du Soleil makes one, I'll watch it.
You would probably like wrestling.
There you go.
They're
Oh,
very
it's funny
dramatic.
as hell. It's
Is it?
fun. It's
Is
joke
it?
kitschy.
You know what? I think I would
my
like it because
God.
it's camp. It's basically
Yes.
like a little bit drag queeny. I would like it.
We'll
Yeah.
bring you to the next time we go. A good friend of ours is like promoting.
Is it? Wait, does it smell like armpits?
No.
Okay.
No. I
Are there
kinda thought it
martinis
might, but
available?
No.
I mean, it depends on the
Sorry.
venue you go to.
But you could bring your own.
You can bring your own martinis.
I mean, I'm sure you could.
Yeah, honestly.
BYO.
Bring a
BYOM?
to-go cup.
But yeah, I mean, wrestling.
Like everybody else in
wrestling
Atlanta, why would you
it's
just
theater.
bring your
It's,
to-go cup?
it's theater with like
Yes.
choreographed fighting.
Exactly right.
You know, it sounds like musical theater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they.
I think
all,
I might like it. I
'cause
think I might like it.
There's rivalries. There's like ridiculous storylines. There's so much to it.
I went to school with Shane McMahon,
Oh really?
Who's Shane McMahon?
Vince McMahon's son.
Yeah.
Who's
That's
Vince?
crazy.
Oh,
Vince McMahon.
WWF, like the whole
Yeah.
like
Wow. Yeah.
That's crazy.
they were all football players, and they would talk
Smack?
about they would talk about the wrestlers.
Oh, like
I've
secrets
heard a lot
behind-
about.
Do you have some secrets?
Andre the Giant.
Oh, was he giant all over?
That's what they were talking about in
that
art
makes-
class.
that makes
That's
sense.
what they were talking about in art class.
And were you guys
We were
drawing
all
a
in art
nude
class
in
together.
high
No,
school?
we weren't
Sketching?
But my easel was like behind his, and I could overhear like everything. That
So
they were
Andre the
talking
Giant
about. It was
Is
crazy.
it? His name is apropos.
What the hell? It'd be like all the girls go crazy because of Andre. Like,
Oh my
okay,
gosh,
I
that's
guess.
a lot to handle.
That crazy
He
accent.
was in
movie.
right, the Princess Bride.
He was in Princess
I love
Bride.
that
That's
movie.
exactly right. He was.
That's
right.
really cool. Okay, so you like wrestling?
I didn't know but I do.
Yes. Well,
I didn't know.
you know what? We're at the age now where we're trying everything new again. Your child goes to college, and you're like, well, let me see what I like now.
I know.
Have you ever had a coin collection?
No, but my dad did.
That doesn't count. Have you ever ridden a unicycle?
No.
Are you a hacky sack girl?
I
yeah.
hacked a good hack. I was a
Hacky
hippie
sack.
in college,
Yes,
so yeah, I
hippie.
played a lot of hacky sack.
Can you play ukulele?
No, can you believe it?
I can't.
I tried to
yeah.
learn during the pandemic, but
you
now
have-
that I
you
have
have
the
your
arthritis,
permaclaws.
I can't do it.
It's like permafrost, but permaclaws.
Yeah.
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 Sorry about your hands. We're all gonna get old and die. It's fine. Do you know how to do Morse code or done a ham radio?
I mean, no.
Do you
I
have
don't know it off the top of my
Do
head.
you have a doomsday thing ready, like some water and gold
Nope.
and a hacky sack collection? Okay.
I do not.
Have you ever gotten into Legos? Now's not the time with your hands like that.
Yeah, Legos are pretty cool. My dad, I think, wanted a boy when I was
you did
little,
Legos with him.
and so I got.
But you're
a
not
lot
doing
of
them as an
Legos.
adult.
No, not anymore.
Okay.
I mean, I did with Nicholas, right, when he was little.
I know, because we're
But,
good parents. Have you ever worn a costume for like more than one day, like goth or anything like that?
No.
Did you have a wardrobe in high school? Were you like a preppy, or did you wear like your hippie outfit in high school?
In high school, I didn't.
How popped was your collar?
I know, right?
We need to know on your polo. Was it a double polo? Did you ever do the double polo, double pop?
Yeah.
Double polo, double pop.
I
I'm having a
know.
flashback
And-
with a big yarn bracelet, and the yarn bracelet is so hard to get
Yes,
off,
the
and it would look terrible after a while. It'd
Yeah,
get brown
they
and
got all
smelly.
nasty. Yeah, because my dad was a sailmaker, so like anything New England, like we were the preppies of the preps.
Were you born inside of an LL Bean bag?
But what's also funny is where I grew up, so we had like the New England influence, super preppy, but also at the same time, we were like a half hour from like Jersey. So,
Oh, wow.
so there was like the big hair and like metal, like a lot of like heavy metal kind of
music.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would they drive up in their Mustangs and you guys would show up in your
yes.
BMWs?
That's, well, yes.
And then have
Although
like
I didn't have a BMW.
No.
But yeah.
No,
I was
yeah.
like,
and have a street fight.
it was funny. Yes.
Drag racing.
That's
Did you ever?
right.
Have you ever been to drag? I can't. Sometimes I
No,
have
but
friends
I've
and I can't tell how
seen-
old they are. You ever never been to a drag race?
I have not been.
Not a
What am I,
professional
Sandra
one.
D?
I know. I don't know what rich. I know you, but you grew up in a wealthy suburban area, and I don't know what the
Well,
kids
the
did
guy-
before they
the-
had Xboxes.
The high school kid I went to school with, whose dad owned the Porsche
dealership.
lot.
Let me help you with the
dealership.
important words.
He died.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
In the Porsche.
Did he drive it too fast? Oh my gosh! And the parents will never get over that because they feel
I
guilty.
don't know.
Oh, were they coked out? The
I don't
parents?
know. I mean, I hate to. I shouldn't. Why would I? I shouldn't have said anything. I just said.
It's okay.
I don't know. I mean,
It's-
I'm guessing. Of course, they were devastated.
But yes. Have you ever? Okay. Did was there ever a time where parents refused to take pictures of you because of your appearance? I think you've probably been adorable your whole life. You're so cute. Don't worry. Don't answer
No,
that.
but my dad used to make fun of me and my Birkenstocks and call them like Jesus sandals.
Yes. Okay. So were you popping a collar and wearing Birkenstocks?
No.
Or were you
at
wearing
that
a flannel?
point-
Have you
yeah,
gone to
at that
flannel?
point,
A
I
baggy
was-
jean?
No,
Never
like,
baggy.
like a cut. I was
cutoff.
wearing probably cut
Was
off.
your how much of your bottom was hanging out of your cutoff? Sun's out, buns out. Let's go.
Not as much because like it probably wasn't jeans. I misspoke. It was probably more like camouflage pants. Like I would wear
pants.
like camo pants, but they'd be cut
Shorts.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
like cut off.
Like the cargo ones?
yeah, or just a skirt that had all the bells on it. Right, it was like a bell skirt.
Bells on a skirt?
Like a hippie skirt, yeah.
I haven't seen bells on a skirt. The last time I saw bells, we were in Japan, and everyone had bells on themselves because they were worried about bears
Oh, well, okay.
hiking in the forest.
Okay.
It sounded like we were in St. Mark's Cathedral. That's how many bells were
Really?
going off around us. Yeah, they were really afraid of
I
bears.
have no idea. No, the hippie. Yes, I'm sure you do. Right? Like, okay, so you've got like whatever tie dye or like an
are the bells
eye-cat
on a
skirt
scarf?
or
Are they on a
something.
scarf
Could be,
attached
but
to the skirt?
No, like okay, so I've got my skirt, right? And like one of the hippie skirts, it maybe has like an elastic waist. There's a tie. At the end of the tie are bells. And they're similar to the bells that you'd remember, like the ankle bracelets that were all those bells.
Oh,
They're like those kinds of bells
Like they were
on
in
a
India.
skirt. Yes,
Oh,
exactly
okay.
right. That's the bell skirt.
I remember like the little cotton ball on the back of the sock.
Those are cute, but that's not what I'm talking about.
I know. Okay. Okay. We digress. Okay. Do you have a tattoo?
I do.
I think I saw it. It's on your arm.
It is.
What is that?
It's a hamsa.
What's a hamsa? Is it part hamster, part manatee?
So it is.
it
It's
an
the evil eye.
Is it
and
Indian or is it Greek?
So my understanding of it is that it is a symbol that represents women.
Okay.
But it predates like all of the women, like Mary, Rebecca, Fatima. Like it
are these
predates
people?
all of those like
those
religious, like Mary,
biblical people.
Mary,
So-
Mother of Jesus.
I didn't grow up. I didn't grow up with religion. It's been a problem for following literature.
So it's like before that.
Before women, before
all
anyone
that.
was
So it
like
was a-
labeling the ladies and talking about their sex lives and how they didn't have sex, and then there was this guy and she got pregnant. But so it's that. Is
Well-
it Celtic? Is it Druid? They were at the
No.
same time. That's it.
I don't think so.
No. Okay, I'm glad you know so
I'll
much
have to
about
look
your
it up.
tattoo.
Well,
How old are you when you got it?
I got it when we were living at Dad's house because I wanted to get the hell out of Dad's house.
Okay, so you expressed it with
Like
a tattoo.
we had because John. Okay, so the symbol.
This is her father-in-law. She was living with her father-in-law, and you had a small child,
So
and he's a hoarder, and it was a lot. Okay, so
We were there for years
Yeah.
because of this person who ruined our house, and then we couldn't get out of our house and into our new house because of this person. So
So is this actually effects on them?
No,
Is that what it's called?
So what this does is
Hex. Thank you, darling.
No, so a evil eye protects you from other people's.
That's a Greek thing.
Hexes or
an evil eye.
Or
it's like blue usually.
The evil eyes in multiple cultures,
Multiple
but
cultures.
for
Okay.
Greek,
So,
it is a
yes.
protection symbol.
Okay.
yes.
So maybe no more bad contractors? Is that a whole tattoo about a bad contractor?
Yes.
And you know what? A bad contractor can ruin your life.
That's exactly what that is.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's
Yes.
one way to do it. Okay. We're almost done here. Have you ever brewed your own mead?
My own what?
Mead.
I don't know what that is.
Perfect. Do you have a set of binoculars to look at birds near your window?
I do have binoculars,
You do
but
have binoculars.
I take them to concerts because now I'm an old lady.
Oh, but you do go to concerts. You love music.
I do.
You love dancing.
I do.
Yeah, that's all like your hippie energy. Didn't you volunteer your time as a teacher and go to a reservation?
Well, I didn't volunteer. I mean, I taught
got paid?
on a reservation.
Was it like a
I
Teach
taught
for
on
America?
a Navajo reservation. No,
That's
I got my own job there.
That's really cool. Where was your the Navajo experience?
It was really close to Four Corners. It was at Nananizod BIA school, which is a Bureau of Indian Affairs school. So that means I was an employee of the federal government, but specifically paid for through Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Okay. And then what was it
And
like?
So, I mean, it's okay. So, Amy, you know how like when I talk about this nonprofit stuff and you were like, holy shit, I had no idea. Like, that's crazy.
She just
I
said
had no idea.
SHIT,
Sorry, am
everyone.
I not supposed to?
You are
like,
off the hook.
am I not supposed to swear?
No, you can I just am not used to it.
sorry.
It's okay.
I swear all the time. It's like, what are you talking about? So what happens is that out on reservations, it is so rural. Like people live so far apart
Yes.
from one another
Yes.
that in order for the children to come to the school, it would take them too long. Like
would be
they
like 2
wouldn't,
hour-
right? I
a
mean,
2 hour
no,
bus
it's more
ride.
like a 6-hour bus ride.
Oh,
So
wow.
what happens is the BIA makes schools and they create them as a boarding school. And so all of the children on the reservation are bused to their boarding schools. They stay for the week and then they're bused back home.
There's a history of America. I think in Canada, they made the indigenous children go to boarding schools where they didn't feed them enough and they were dying. And it's this whole expose. But this sounds like they're running it in this situation and it's like a loving space. Well, hopefully.
Well, yeah, but except that you're away from your family
You're away
all
from your
week. Like,
family.
it's horrible.
Is
I
it
think it's horrible,
mandated
but-
by the government that they have to go, or can they homeschool like all the crazy people here?
I mean, I
shout out all the
guess.
people who I know who went to homeschool. They love you.
I guess
They could
I
homeschool
really
if
don't
they
know.
wanted to,
I guess.
but maybe the kids want to go play with other kids. If they're really alone out in the
Yeah.
Utah area by themselves and it's just their family, they might want to go hang out with some kids during the week.
Yeah, that could be. You're probably right.
So was it rewarding? Was it make you happy, make you sad?
It made me really sad.
It made you really sad to see
It was a weird place. And of course, it was also my first teaching job. So like it not
Oh,
a
wow.
good, it was not like a good
You weren't going in with a bunch of extra skills in your
Not any
toolbox.
skills, like any skills at all, none.
Oh, were the kids so cute
None.
though?
They were horrid to me.
Oh no.
It was 6th grade. I was teaching 6th grade.
That's even more armpit smell.
I had like, it was bad.
Lots of
It
puberty.
was bad.
They could probably smell your newness as a teacher.
Yeah, maybe. It was really more political. It was just like going into a situation that I didn't know was a situation.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. Well, that was a happy ending. Uh-oh. Can you hear the blowers in the thing? The blowers are
Yeah,
here.
we're in Buckhead. We just gotta let everyone
All
know.
we do is
There's
listen to
always
blowers, and my
blowers
husband and
all
I
day
are
long.
going insane about it. All right. So, do you like? This is a loaded question.
Okay.
You know this is yes. She built a nonprofit around this answer.
School supply shopping,
Do I like school supply shopping?
or have you done enough of it?
I have
over
to
your
tell you,
tenure.
when I didn't go to school this fall, it was really hard not to go.
She's literally bobbing, thinking about going to Staples right now.
I still went to like the dollar
went and
spot in
smelled all the
Target, and like I
markers.
went through all the baskets,
Touched all
and,
the
like,
papers.
They had all new colors that like they hadn't had before in
New
the baskets.
colors?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Target now. It used to be like for years and years and years, you only got all your stuff at the teacher store, and they only had primary colors, right? You could get red, yellow, blue, green. That's it. Now
Do they have teal? Purple?
They do. And what Target will do is every year they have sort of a different theme of colors. So like sometimes it'll be pastels, sometimes it'll be neons, sometimes it'll be, but every year it's different. So you can like update your baskets every year.
That's
it's exciting.
fantastic.
And then they have all the other stuff that matches back to it.
Okay, Dale. I think I know what kind of nerd you are. This is not
very
going to be
nerdy about
groundbreaking or super hilarious, but
stuff.
you're an education nerd. And I feel
I
like
am.
all the hippie stuff inside of you has coalesced because that's like we got to do it the right way. You know, a hippie is like good with nature, doing it my own way, independent. Buck the man, is that what it is? And also, like, I'm going to recycle. You're an incredible recycler. Like, you're like, let's do it the right way and let's help people. And you're a fighter for justice. You fight for your kids that in your classrooms that need help. Like, yeah, I love you. Yeah, you're an education nerd. I love you so much. I will put in the notes where to donate to your nonprofit.
Thank you.
And usually this is the part where comedians talk about where they're going to be performing
Got
next.
it. Got it.
But she's not going to.
Well, I will be showing up at Georgia Tech tomorrow to go pick up all of the recycling pieces left over from the architecture department. There's a student recycling group, and they are now partnering with me and some of the STEAM schools in DeKalb County. And we're going to be delivering all the like balsa wood and chipboard from Georgia Tech over to.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. See, every time I talk to Dale, I find out something amazing she's doing.
But I am a geek about it. Like, oh my God, I'm such a nerd. I can't take it.
It's fantastic. Shout out to all the people out there in the world trying to make it a better place, especially my best friend, Dale. I love you.
Aw.
Yeah. Thank you.